Hey there everyone, I'm Paul and this is Game Turtle. Nier is an action RPG for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. The game was developed by Cavia and was the studio's last game. Nier was directed by Yoko Taro, a man known for his unorthodox and creative style of design. In Japan, 2 versions of the game were released, Nier Gestalt and Nier Replicant. The games were functionally identical except that the main character was either the brother or the father of the character Yona. For its worldwide release, Nier Gestalt, with Nier being Yona's father, was the only version localized. I played the version featuring Papa Nier, so that's the one I'll be referring to in this review. The game tells the tale of a man, the titular Nier, and his daughter Yona. The pair exist in a strange future time where society has degenerated to something of a feudalistic state of existence. Yona has a strange supernatural affliction known as the Black Scroll that's slowly killing her, and Nier sets out to attempt a cure. This is the setup, and what follows is a wild adventure with a team of unorthodox allies. It all starts slow, but it builds and builds throughout the length of the game. In fact, Nier is one of the earliest in the recent slew of games featuring a father-daughter dynamic as a central character relationship. On a surface level, the basic plot of The Last of Us has a number of similarities with Nier, but I'd like to avoid spoiling either game, so I'll leave it at that. Nier is an action RPG, but it goes well out of its way to differentiate itself from the pack. The game makes use of a brilliant mashup of genres. Standard fights have a bullet hell feel to them with the brightly lit projectile attacks and wide open combat environments. Nier revels in toying with the player's expectations, both in terms of story and gameplay. Nier subverts numerous common tropes of the genre and the medium as a whole. Taro is well known for his goal of pushing the boundaries of what is acceptable and manageable for the medium, and some of these subversions touch on some fascinating concepts. I'll explain one small instance of this. At one point in the game, Nier journeys to a mysterious village in the woods. It turns out the village has been stricken by an illness known as the Death Dream. Essentially, people are being induced into a dream state. When Nier arrives in the village, he goes to talk to the village chief, who begins to explain the situation. As the conversation goes on, Nier himself falls into the Death Dream. Now, imagine you're a game designer, and you're trying to create an audio-visual representation of a dream. What do? Create an even trippier version of the existing fantasy world? Nier takes this concept in a vastly different direction. What better way to articulate a dream state, a different perception of reality, than by changing mediums? In Nier, the Death Dream is visualized as pure text. The game becomes a text adventure for the next several minutes until Nier manages to carry the written text to its conclusion and escape the dream world. It's a brilliant use of the medium and subverts all expectations. When the conversation with the village chief began disintegrating into pure static text, I was more than a little confused, and that confusion was shared by the characters. The game is filled with intriguing ideas like these. Even ignoring the fantastic meta aspects of the game's design, the narrative itself as it stands is complex and fascinating. At its most basic, it's a tale of friendship triumphing overall, but if you delve deeper into the game's lore and finer details, it becomes something much more than that. The depth of the lore is really interesting. The game has a fairly generic third-person combat system. Besides its novel bullet hell angle and its genre-hopping moments, the combat itself is merely above average. There's a decent level of complexity to its mechanics, with various spells as well as 3 distinct weapon types. Nier himself can also be buffed by numerous items and what are known in-game as words. It's a good combat system, and it only gets better as the game goes on, but with every other aspect of the game excelling as it does, it's a shame that Nier's combat is merely great. The game does have an issue with how many of its side quests are monotonous and grindy. However, they are easy to avoid, and unless you are aiming for 100% completion, I strongly urge you to not go out of your way to push through them all. Some self-contained side stories spread throughout the game are well worth the experience though, so bear that in mind. That 100% completion comment is something I feel I should elaborate on. Without getting into specifics, the game has 4 separate endings, all of which are essential to the experience in my opinion. The first and second endings are sequential, so there's no risk of missing out on them, but the latter 2 will require some extra work. As a tip, I suggest picking up as many weapons during the first 2 playthroughs as you can, as collecting them all is essential to seeing every ending. I don't love the idea of locking important story details behind collection that's irrelevant to the plot, but the collection in this case is easy enough to accomplish, especially with the vast internet resources available. In short, you owe it to yourself to play until the true ending. The game's voice acting is excellent. Some NPC dialogue is a little silly.
You people are the true monsters!
But the main cast performances were brilliantly well done. The game's first screen even opens with Kaine viciously insulting Grimoire Weiss. It's an odd choice for the first in-game world building a new player will get, but one that does feel startlingly appropriate given the unorthodox nature of the work.
Weiss, you dumbass! Start making sense, you rotten book, or you're gonna be sorry. Maybe I'll rip your pages out one by one, or maybe I'll put you in the goddamn furnace. How can someone with such a big smart brain get hypnotized like a little bitch, huh? Oh, Shadow Lord, I love you, Shadow Lord. Come over here and give Weiss a big sloppy kiss, Shadow Lord. Now pull your head out of your goddamn ass and start fucking helping us!
Nier's soundtrack is absolutely god tier. There are few soundtracks with the emotional depth and excellence in execution as Nier's. Many songs have lyrics which are sung in a lovely fantasy language merging English, French, German and Japanese. I really cannot praise the soundtrack enough. It suits the world brilliantly and is utterly beautiful. All these aspects lend the game a phenomenally melancholic tone. The main cast always exhibits an optimism and quiet hope as they make their way through their journey, which just serves to make the particularly powerful moments have even more heft to them. Honestly, the game's brilliance can really only be felt through first-hand experience, and the greatest moments of the game are ones which I am wont to spoil. Understand that my praise comes from the sheer emotional and design-based quality of the game, something which I find really hard to articulate, let alone while avoiding spoilers. Nier is easily one of my favourite games of the 7th generation. Nier's upcoming sequel, known as Nier Automata, is a game I'm tremendously excited for. Key members of the original team are working on the sequel, and the game is being developed alongside Platinum Games, the masters of character action combat. With Platinum on board, the game's biggest stumbling block, its fun but merely competent combat, will surely be risen to new heights. I have enormously high hopes that Nier Automata will knock it out of the park. Nier is a revelation. It's a wonderful vision of a game, marred by some technical limitations, but as a piece of art, it is a flawed masterpiece. It's a strange case, as the individual aspects of the game amount to far less than the brilliant sum of its combined parts. The game's design swings wildly between conventional and completely unorthodox, but its superb craftsmanship shines through. Nier is a game that shows us the immense artistic growth of this burgeoning medium, and it gives us an interesting case study where the worst parts of the game are the ones considered most conventional. It goes to show that adherence to the accepted conventions needn't make or break a great experience. It's works like Nier that push this medium forward, and I'm glad of it for that. When it comes down to it, all groundbreaking art is flawed, and Nier is no exception. It's not a perfect game, but it's pretty damn close. Thanks for watching everybody, feel free to like, comment or subscribe. Have a nice day.